Good morning, my YouTube family, and welcome back to Tink's World. It's your girl Tink here, and I'm just back today for a little story time. And before I do get into that story time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell their mama, daddy, uncle, sister, brother, cousin, twice removed, that they can come check out Tink's World because I'm lit, baby. And like I said, it's just a little story time video. Don't have much going on today, so I wanted to go ahead and get some content out because I did promise you guys that I will have more content coming for my channel as it grows. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go ahead and at least get a story time. This video was requested from a few, whether you know me personally and you reached out to ask the question, or you inbox me or DM me the question or whatnot. So, and that question was, how did I conceive my baby boy? And that's the story time that I have for you guys today. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so my conception with little guy, he was born, as I did mention in my labor and delivery story. If you have not seen that, go check that out. He was born on November 22nd, and I was actually 37 weeks and almost 38. I was 37 weeks and some days when I had him. So I didn't carry him full term, and he didn't make it to the expected delivery date because I did have a cesarean section, which was scheduled for December 9th, but he decided to come a little early. So with that being said, I conceived back in March, and that was before the pandemic. I'm not going to say before the pandemic started because the pandemic was being brought about, but it was before they actually started to shut down the cities and shut down different states and things like that started to shut down as far as businesses and all of that. So it started before it. I conceived before all of that happened. But the way I did conceive was not the traditional way, if you can say, with intercourse. No, I did not do that. I did do an at-home insemination process, which did take on my first go round. But just to go ahead and give a little backstory, as I have mentioned in previous videos, as people probably know, I do have an older daughter. She is now 17, turned 17 on December 9th. And I conceived or had her back when I was 16. Her conception was in March as well, and she was born December 9th. Her due date was actually December 3rd. So I carried 1 week over. I was 41 weeks actually when I had her. And I had her by cesarean section as well. But it was more of an emergency type of thing with her when I had her. So that's how that went. And he was also conceived in March, like I said, right before the city shut down. I did conceive him. And the whole thing came about. I have been in previous relationships where I did want to have a baby before now, but it just wasn't. I guess it was something. Maybe it was the Lord, giving me the signs or telling me that it wasn't meant for me to have no child with the person. Of course, I was a lesbian for like 10 plus years or whatnot, and so me having a child that way would either consist of going to a doctor and having to pay all that money for an insemination with the doctor. And then at that time, whenever I was in a relationship with a woman and I felt that that was the person that I was going to be with, then I wanted to I felt that the person that I was going to have kids with was going to be who I wanted to carry her eggs. In other words, I wanted to carry their eggs so that the baby can feel more a part of both of us. In other words, I'm carrying her eggs, but I'm carrying the baby, so it's like the both of us. So that's how I wanted to do it with my female spouse, whoever that would have been at that time. But as the years kept going on, it wasn't happening, or it just wasn't right. I think it was just the Lord intervening, saying it's not my time, or that person wasn't the right person, or something. So I would never I've been wanting to have children for a while now. If you know me personally, I think it's just me being a mother is just something that I love. I love taking. I've always loved children. I love babies. I love taking care of them, but I think I love it more when it's my own. So I've always wanted another child for so long. I think I want to say my mid to late 20s is when I decided that I know I wanted to have more children. I come from a big family. Like my great grandparents had 6 boys and 6 girls, a total of 12 children. And out of that, the most that a family member has had is about 6. So I knew I wasn't gonna have no 5 to 6 children, but at least maybe 3 or 4 at the most that I was looking maybe to have. So I got pregnant at 16. Me and the father was not together. It was just something that happened. It actually happened on the first time that we did have intercourse, and I became pregnant. And that ship sailed. I took care of the baby. I was a single mom for a while. And then I ended up meeting someone when I graduated high school and went into college around 18. I met a guy, and we were in a relationship for almost 5 years. And he was taking care of my daughter like his own. And he had 2 children of his own. So we were just a family of 5. And so and I took care of them like they were mine, like they came out of me. So at that time during this process, I kind of, since I was with him with the 2 children already, it crossed my mind every once in a while to have one, but not really because I did have those other 2 and was already treating them like mine. So I was kind of content with that. I did end up getting pregnant during that relationship, but I ended up aborting that particular one. And I kind of regret that now that I look back on it back in the day. But at that particular time, I knew I wasn't ready for another child because he did have 2 and I had 1. So at that particular time, I wasn't ready. I was 19, I believe, at this time when that happened. So I did abort my second pregnancy, which I do not condone, and I do not encourage anyone to do so. But yeah, so that was that one. And then after I got out of that relationship, I actually started dating women, or came out that I was attracted to women. And I want to say I was already single for about, after I left that relationship, I think I was single for about a couple of years. It probably was like 2 or 3 years before I just came out and said I was attracted to women, and then I started dating women, and I had a girlfriend after that. So I had after coming out and having a girlfriend, then I started to feel like I was ready to have another child, and this is happening in my mid 20s, mid to late 20s back at this time. My daughter was the only child. She was turning, I think she was starting to be like 10, 11, 12. Like she was getting older. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to start having another child at this time. But it never just really happened, or we never went forward for it. The first girlfriend, I didn't talk about it. I think I just was having the feelings about having a child, but never really talked about the process or anything like that. That relationship ended, and then it was other relationships to come where we possibly would have talked about it. Like I said, if I was to have a baby with my female spouse, then I wanted to carry her eggs and do it that way, which we would have to have gotten doctors involved and spent a whole lot of money to go through that process. So I guess, like I said, it was just not my time for me to have it during that time. And so coming around and fast forwarding in the year 2020, I just broke up with my last relationship. And I also, during this time, have given my timeline of 30. Well, at first, my timeline was to have a child. If I didn't have another child by the age of 30, then I wasn't going to have any more. And then when 30 approached, I said that I can stretch it out just a little bit further and give myself to 35. I think 35 is the absolute, well, for me. For anyone else, if you have a child after 35, condolences, not condolences, but my big ups to you, because I don't think I can do it. So I told myself 35 was going to be the cutoff limit for sure. If I didn't have a baby by 35, I was not going to have any more children. I'll probably like adopt a child if I wanted another child or something in that means, but I wasn't going to physically have a child. And so this year, 2020, I don't know, I guess 2020, at first we thought everybody was like, okay, 2020 is going to be the year of goals being set and everything like that. And I really felt in my soul that it was going to be a big change for me as well to really start my business and get things kicked off and everything like that. But COVID came, and so that turned everything around. But 2020, I just was like, okay, haven't been in a relationship for a while. And by now, I think, well, actually, yeah, I think I was already broken up for almost a year by this time. And so I was just like, I'm so ready for I'm ready for another baby. I'm 33 now. I'm almost 35. I just, why not just do it by myself? Because at first I was just thinking, okay, I want a family. I need to be with someone to have this baby and do all that. So I said earlier last year, I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it by myself. I can go ahead and get pregnant and just take care of the baby by myself. Like, I don't have to be with anybody. I was a single mom for a while with my first child. And then even after I broke up with that person that was helping me with her, I was still taking care of my own and being, doing everything, being mom and dad and everything like that. So I said I could still do it. I'm older now. I'm more financially stable and everything like that, taking care of myself. So I know I can take care of a child as well. So I can do it by myself. So that's what I just had in the mind, and I decided to just do it. Like, I didn't ponder on it anymore. I didn't think about it to make myself talk myself out of it again. So I just did it. I started talking about it so much to one of my sisters. She's not my blood sister, but she's closer, like family, so I consider her a sister. I talked to her about it. Her and her wife were trying to conceive at one point in time, so she had already looked into different things on what they can do as far as the insemination kits. And also looking that up, I looked up different YouTube couples. A lot of the at-home insemination, of course, are from lesbian couples trying to conceive. So I did look up on YouTube for that, and I did find one particular couple I know I looked up was a fellow friend of my sister, and her and her wife, they were conceiving or trying to conceive, and they video process, made a YouTube video on the process. So I did look at that. I also followed other YouTube couples that done did the same thing, so I can do some research to see what process worked for them, what kits they use, what items they use. And so even though I don't have the actual kit with me anymore, or I don't remember the name of the kit, I'm going to actually look up. I'm gonna actually look up some kits on Amazon and Google. There is one website that I remember a YouTube couple talked about, and it's called Mozie, and that's Mosie. And if you look on their website, Mz.com, and I'll go ahead and link that in the description as well, they actually have a website that's specifically for that, so you can buy your kits from them as well, and buy anything else like the pregnancy test, ovulation kits that you might need to help track your ovulation and everything. So they have all of that on their website at Mz.com. You can also buy kits from Amazon that will have the material that you will need to help with the conception as well. And so I'll go ahead and try to take some screenshots of those and link that website down in the description box below, and insert it here. And that way you can at least see some of the kit. It's not going to be the exact kit that we used, but at least you can see some of it. So I talked to, like I said, I was talking to my sister about the process so much that she got tired of hearing it from me, and she was just like, "Look here, we already have the kid here at home. We're not going to use it no time soon right now. So if you're really serious about this, if you have somebody that's going to help you with the sperm or donate the specimen, then I can go ahead and help you with the process." So I was like, "Okay, cool." I didn't think about it. I just said, yes, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I have a friend, as far as the sperm donor, or I wouldn't necessarily call him the sperm donor. What was the word we used? Because sperm donor just seems so negative to me, and it's not a negative thing. He was actually helping me. So I would say, what was the word we used? Not sperm donor, but I forgot the word. I forgot what it was, but I just feel like sperm donor was so negative, and it wasn't a negative type of situation. So he was actually the person that helped me with that. Is a longtime friend. We've been friends for years. Like, I think before, I want to say, yeah, like after I had, between the time that I ended my first relationship with my first boyfriend, my first real relationship with, I had met him and we became like friends. We were never dating or anything like that. We were just real good friends. And so we've been friends for a long time. So I asked and reached out to him to see if he would do this for me. And the way that I presented it to him, I was like, it's just for me. Because again, I was single. I'm not single anymore at this time, but during that process, I was single. So I was with just myself. So I was like, I'm single. I just wanted another child. You don't have to be attached to that child in any way, because I know he had other kids of his own that he had to take care of. He wasn't with anybody either. He's single as well. He's still single, but he wasn't with anybody either. But I was like, you don't have to worry about me hitting you up for child support. You don't even have to come to the hospital or any doctor's appointments. You don't have to sign the birth certificate. None of that. I just want your sperm to actually help me conceive this baby for me. And he was like, oh, okay, that's cool, and agreed with it. So I had that part. Oh, and I had already talked to him a couple of years before, during one of the times I was single as well, because I wanted to do it then. And so he had already knew what I really wanted it for, and it was just the timing that kept messing with me. So at this time, I was like, this is it. It's because he mentioned, it was like, you mentioned it before, but I wondered what happened. You never came back and said anything. And I was like, no, I'm ready to do it. Let's get it done. This is it. So I want to say I reached out to him that last time, probably about a week prior to me actually collecting the specimen from him and getting it started. So like I said, the kid was already with my sister, so she had all of that taken care of. I just had to collect the sperm. And with the research that I did with some of the YouTube videos, I've learned that live sperm is actually more, or you get a higher chance of probably becoming pregnant rather than freezing it. Because a lot of the couples I've seen were collecting the sperm and freezing it and then using it when it was time. And then you had some that were actually using live sperm, like they were in another room, possibly, or a bathroom, ejaculating or whatever, and getting the specimen, and then they will bring it to the next room and get the insertion there. So that's what I wanted to do, was to get it live, where it stayed warm, didn't have to worry about it freezing and then thawing it out and getting it warm again, because there's a possibility that a lot of them were probably dead at that time. And so you have more live, I forgot what they call them, the more live sperm when it's fresh or when it's live than rather when it's frozen. So I went through that way. So because I wasn't in my own home at that time and I was living with someone, I didn't want him to just come to their house or whatnot. And I didn't want everyone to know exactly what was going on until I got a positive pregnancy test anyway. I didn't want everybody to know it because I didn't want anyone to get excited and make me more excited about the process, and nothing happens. So only me and my sister actually knew what was going on at this time. And so I didn't want him to be coming to the house and they never met the person and all that. So I went ahead and I took because it's a little cup that comes with the kit that you can put the specimen in, and I took that with me. Went to go collect the the specimen from him, brought it back, and we did the process all that same night. It stayed warm and everything, and we did the process that same night. Luckily, the process only took me that one time, and I got pregnant. Now, I don't know if it's me. I believe I'm a little fertile when it comes to my ovulation time, because all the times that those other two times that I did get pregnant, it was more like, yeah, I got pregnant in like right away, in other words. So I don't know if it's that or if it's that I kept up with my ovulation. And I can insert a screenshot of the app that I use for that. But it was a app. I tracked my ovulation, and the day that we did it was actually the day that it says was my highest peak point to get pregnant. So we did it that actual day. And I can honestly say that I was happy that it happened, even though I was nervous. So we did the process, and she helped insert the specimen in me. I held my legs up for about 30 minutes or so to make sure that it does go and take, or the sperm can go, I have a chance to go up or down the canal, however you say it, to get to increase that chance. And I want to say probably about a week or two later, I started feeling some symptoms. My body started feeling some kind of different. It wasn't like the full blown symptoms, like the throwing up and everything, just yet, but I was feeling the like I was feeling some type of body change. Like my body was feeling totally different, to where I felt in my soul and my heart that I was pregnant. And then came to the point where I started to feel, I want to say I conceived late March, and I want to say by early to mid April, I was feeling started to feel my symptoms. So I started to feel the tenderness of my nipples. And of course, would have been around the time when I was supposed to start my cycle, in the month of April. So I was keeping up with that. I wasn't having no cycles or anything like that. I started to feel the tenderness in my nipples a lot. And that was irritating me. I was starting to be a little more tired and sleepy, like I was going to bed real early, and everything like that. I didn't. Now, all of this was different for me because I didn't have any of this in my first pregnancy at all. I didn't have no morning sickness. I didn't have no pain, no pelvic pain. I didn't have anything. The only thing that I had with my first pregnancy was a missed cycle, and I was eating like crazy. So that was the only thing I had. I had those two as well this time go round. I was eating like crazy. Every other hour, I think I was either eating some food, or I was eating a snack or something. And I was and my pelvic area was starting to hurt a little bit, and also my nipples. So I felt all of this, and I didn't get the nauseous right away. I think, did I started feeling nauseous before I took my pregnancy test? I think I might have gotten a couple of spells where I was nauseous, but before when I took my first pregnancy test, I just decided, I was like, okay, my body is going through too much different changes right now, and I was nervous. So it took me a while before I took my the at home pregnancy test, because I didn't want it to come back negative. So even though I was having all these symptoms, and I knew in my body and my heart was already made up that I was pregnant, I had stopped drinking and everything by this time. I stopped that once we did the process. I didn't drink any more wine or had any more alcohol or anything like that. So I stopped all of that. And so I just knew my body was just going through these changes, and I just knew in my heart I was pregnant. I just didn't want the test to tell me otherwise. So it took me a minute, but I did buy a first response pregnancy test. It had two tests in there, one that had the word yes or no, and then one just had the plus sign or negative sign on there. So I ended up taking the first test, and it said yes. So I'm excited. Of course, it is an at-home pregnancy test. At-home pregnancy tests can go wrong as well. So I was trying not to be too excited. I wanted to wait a week and take the second pregnancy test and then go to the doctor and make sure that it was positive all the way. So I didn't end up waiting a week. I was too excited. I think I waited about 5 days. I took the second pregnancy test and it had the plus sign on it. And I'm going to insert a picture of those two tests as well. And so now it's in my mind that I'm pregnant. My morning sickness started to become unbearing at this time. So I also wanted to go ahead and get a doctor's positive as well. So I ended up going to the emergency room because like the nauseousness was just becoming too unbearable for me. Like I couldn't handle it no more. It was every morning like clockwork, and it was so horrible that it ends up not even being in the morning, but in the afternoon and evenings as well. I was like throwing up all day. So I went to the emergency room, and they for sure did a blood test, and it came back that I was like 5.5 weeks pregnant at that time, and so that was just all my confirmation that I needed, and everything started from there. The pregnancy itself was a little difficult, but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. Like my baby boy is the most adorable thing that I can ever see. But him and his sister actually look like twins at this time. I have baby pictures where they look like twins. I'm just like so ecstatic that I got my second child out of. I'm almost, like I said, 35 was the cutoff. So I doubt if I have another child. If I do have one, I'm probably going to adopt if I do have another child. But right now, I am content where I am. I have my girl, I have my boy, and I am like just the happiest that I can be. I'm so obsessed with him. Just as obsessed as I was with my daughter. So this time it's just I'm loving it, and motherhood for me is like everything. So for everyone that did get pregnant and have babies during this pandemic and this trying time, just keep your head in the game. Don't stress out. Everything is going to work itself out. I know it's been a hard time because for us, we've been cooped up in this house because of the pandemic, and I'm not taking him anywhere probably until he gets his 2 month shots. So besides going to doctor's appointments and going to the store for essential things, we have been in the house. So I know how you guys feel being in the house cooped up and everything, but it will get better. It will get better. 2021 will get better. We're manifesting it. But that's my conception story, and I have my labor and delivery story already loaded. So like I said, if you haven't seen that, you can go check that out as well. But other than that, that's it. If you guys want any more story time, because like I said, I'm in the house cooped up during these times, and I don't want to do any vlogs or anything with you guys because like I'm just sitting in the house, and I know you don't want to see me just sitting here. So if you have any more story time that you want me to talk about, make sure you comment that down below, or hit me up on any of my social medias, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and I will do them. But until the next video, guys, love you. Peace.